Josh Safdie's Marty Supreme is now in theatres, and it's a wildly energetic and unconventional sports comedy drama from A24, anchored by one of Timothée Chalamet's most electric and committed performances as a fiercely ambitious 1950s table tennis hustler. Director Josh Safdie blends sharp character work and intense pacing with richly textured period detail, crafting a film that's both deeply funny and surprisingly emotionally raw. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my review of Marty Supreme, discussing why I think the film is a chaotic masterpiece. There will be brief spoilers in my analysis, so if you haven't seen the film yet, then I would recommend watching it before checking out this video. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming films like the Marty Supreme movie, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my review for Josh Safdie's Marty Supreme. So after absolutely loving both Good Time and Uncut Gems, Marty Supreme feels like the completion of a trilogy of movies about a central character you both love and hate. This is a film that weaponizes disorder narratively, emotionally and stylistically, and somehow molds it into something both strangely coherent and deeply unsettling. From the opening moments of the film, it makes it clear that it's not interested in easing the audience in. We're thrown headfirst into Marty's fractured world where ambition, delusion and performance all blur together. The story follows Marty as both a self-mythologizing figure and a deeply unreliable narrator, a man who believes that he is destined for greatness while actively burning every bridge that could make that greatness possible. Starting with the storytelling, one of the most striking elements is how the movie reframes earlier scenes later on, revealing that moments we initially read as triumphant or charismatic were in fact deeply unsettling or manipulative. Marty's journey is fueled by spectacle and bravado, but the film keeps undercutting those highs with quiet, brutal consequences. Relationships collapse, violence erupts suddenly and without glamour, and moments of humour curdle into discomfort. The chaos the film presents isn't random, and I think it's more thematic, mirroring Marty's internal unravelling and his inability to see the damage he causes. I think what makes this whole approach work in the film is the central performances on display, which to me have to be some of the best I've seen all year. They are the backbone of Marty Supreme's chaos, and at the very centre of it all is Timothée Chalamet as Marty Mauser. Chalamet's portrayal is nothing short of electrifying, capturing both the charisma and self-destructive impulses of a man obsessed with control and image. He oscillates constantly between magnetic confidence and vulnerable insecurities, often within the same moment and scene, which make the character feel unpredictable yet painfully real. One of the most striking sequences comes during the Japan arc, where Marty is forced to confront the possibility of staging a match. Chalamet's performance in a moment like this is layered, as outwardly Marty exudes bravado and manipulative charm, convincing us and other characters in the film of his dominance, but then when the camera lingers, we get micro-expressions. We see flickers of doubt, frustration and even fear, which reveal the cracks beneath the performance. These subtle shifts make every triumph or failure feel earned, and they prevent the audience from ever fully categorizing him as a good or bad person. The supporting cast is equally essential in grounding Marty's chaos. Whether it's actors playing Marty's friends, rivals or love interests, they actively shape his world and highlight his flaws. Every conversation feels like a power struggle, and moments that could have been played melodramatically instead land with a raw, almost uncomfortable realism. The tension in these early scenes is heightened by the performer's willingness to embrace awkward silences and emotional volatility. And the film's most emotionally devastating performances come in its quieter, more intimate moments, especially towards the very end, as we see a man confronting his own limitations, regrets, and his capacity for love. The supporting actors, particularly those who have been orbiting Marty throughout his chaotic rise, mirror his quiet transformation. Their restrained, lived-in performances make the emotional stakes feel real and earned, creating a sense of weight that lingers long after the credits roll. What makes the performances so extraordinary though is their fearlessness, and nobody in the film shies away from letting their characters be unlikable, manipulative, or painfully human. Chalamet and the supporting cast commit fully to the extremes of their characters, from moments of manic triumph to crushing vulnerability. These performances are not just compelling on an individual level because they feed directly into the film's themes of chaos, ambition, and self-delusion, making every scene feel alive and unpredictable. So I think that Marty Supreme works as much as it does because of these performances. They make Marty's world feel tangible, his chaos feel kinetic, and his rare moments of vulnerability hit with full emotional force. And by the end of the film, the performances have done more than just tell the story, as they make you feel what this story is deeply about. And for director Josh Safdie to continuously pull this off from film to film is a huge compliment. Moving on, from a filmmaking standpoint, Marty Supreme is bold and unapologetic on this level too. For me, the film was a masterclass in controlled chaos. Every technical choice feels designed to keep the audience slightly off balance, never allowing the film to settle into something comfortable or familiar. The cinematography constantly shifts between raw, almost documentary-style handheld shots and meticulously composed frames that feel both theatrical and artificial. This push and pull reflects the movie's central tension in whether we are watching reality or the version of reality that Marty wants to perform. Close-ups are then often uncomfortably tight, trapping characters in the frame and emphasizing emotional volatility, while wider shots frequently isolate Marty in negative space, visually reinforcing his growing disconnection from everyone around him. Furthermore, the editing is arguably the film's most aggressive and expressive tool. Cuts are sharp and sometimes deliberately disorienting, with scenes ending before emotional beats can fully land. It becomes a part of the narrative in a way, embodying Marty's fractured identity and the instability of his self-mythology. Sound design and music choices are also used with surgical precision. The score frequently drops out at moments where you'd expect emotional reinforcement, replacing it with harsh ambient noise or just dead silence. When music does appear, it often feels intrusive or ironic, undercutting what's happening on screen rather than amplifying it. Dialogue is sometimes swallowed by the sound too, forcing the viewer to lean in and engage more actively. But it all primarily acts this way to make you feel the disorienting ideology of Marty. Silence in particular becomes a powerful weapon in the later sections of the film, emphasizing Marty's loss of control and the emptiness behind his performative persona. So ultimately, I think the filmmaking in Marty Supreme helps to support everything we see and is another sharp element that makes everything work. It's a film that uses every technical department in service of its themes, turning form into meaning. Even when it feels overwhelming or abrasive in a Wolf of Wall Street kind of fashion, that very excess is the point. It wants you to feel all the chaos of Marty's life and the way he is, and then by the end, it throws that all back at you. Speaking of the ending, this is where Marty Supreme fully earns its reputation. The ending is quietly devastating, and it doesn't give Marty the flashy triumph or public validation he spent the whole film chasing. Instead of a conventional sports movie climax, the story focuses on Marty's internal reckoning. In the final arc, he's pressured to throw a major promotional match in Japan, a moment that could cement his fame but likely compromise his integrity. Rather than simply giving in to being used to make to look like a clown on stage, Marty chooses to reclaim control on his own terms. He plays the match honestly, winning not for glory or spectacle, but as an expression of his own principles. It's a subtle victory that signals a sense of growth. Winning his match against Endo, the man who beat him earlier on in the film, isn't about showing how good he is or that he can be the best, it's more about how he has confronted the consequences of his past choices. It's the turning point of his life, and the moments that follow it truly symbolize that. The final images of Marty with his newborn child and how he has a huge emotional reaction to it emphasize the vulnerability and responsibility he has chose over myth-making. It's a deliberate contrast to the frenzied energy earlier on in the movie, showing that Marty's true growth isn't about external validation or winning a public audience, but about confronting himself, his relationships, and the consequences of his obsession. The ending doesn't offer a neat cathartic resolution, but it leaves the viewer with a strong, lingering sense of emotional truth, one that resonates more than any flashy victory ever could. Filmmaking wise, this conclusion is striking because it strongly contrasts with the rest of the movie's manic energy. Earlier sequences relied on jittery camera work, rapid-fire edits, and pulsing music to convey Marty's chaos and ego-driven momentum. But in the ending, the shots are much steadier, the camera lingers longer on Marty's face and gestures, and the score softens or falls away completely. These stylistic choices let the audience sit with the emotional weight of the moment, grounding Marty's personal clarity. In the end, Marty Supreme is not an easy watch, nor does it want to be. It's messy, confrontational, and often uncomfortable, but that's exactly what makes it feel vital. This is a film that understands how charisma can become a weapon, how ambition can rot into self-destruction, and how stories we tell about ourselves can be just as dangerous as the truth. Love it or hate it, it demands engagement throughout, and long after the credits roll, you still feel the chaos of its visualization. Behind one battle after another, I think it's my second favourite movie of the year, and it's yet another win for Josh Safdie. But that was my review of Marty Supreme. To those who have seen the film, what did you think of Josh Safdie's latest project starring Timothée Chalamet, and do you agree with some of the points I have raised in my review? It's all subjective and I appreciate a range of reactions and reviews, so let me know down below in the comment section what you thought about the film, alongside things that stood out with your first impressions. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Marty Supreme, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.